Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of the Hitman's Haven podcast, where football is the family business. All right, today we have a special guest, but first, let's talk about our two very special hosts, Tazim Wajed, the father of number 9 in your program for the Green Bay Packers, Christian Watson. Also here with us, his big bro, Trey Watson, former NFL, XFL player, and Power 5 player at the University of Illinois and University of Maryland. And coming to us from the SEC, the Vanderbilt Commodore, who also has a Super Bowl ring, Corey Harris, is here with us from that vaunted 2001 Ravens defense that just mowed down everything. Corey, what a pleasure to have you here. Welcome to the Hitman's Haven podcast, my friend.
Man, good to be here. I've seen the series a couple of different times. I love listening to people that know football. You can articulate that experience, so I'm excited to be here.
All right. Now, Corey, clear something up for us. You're on with a bunch of cues, and I understand that there is some things that happen every now and then when you just don't have the grade. Sometimes you'll have to pledge.
Well, we know the grades is an issue, talking about Vanderbilt and the 4.6 acceptance rate. So that ain't. But sometimes we get a little, frustrated, and we just got to go to the next best thing, and that's what y'all did. I understand.
It's all love. Corey, welcome. Let's get right into the football, bro. You know what? Folks are chomping at the bit right about now. We're in that dead space. No sports really happening right now. We're waiting for training camp to open. Corey, why don't you start us off with what people do, what the players are doing right now, what their mindset is as they try to prepare this next 2 or 3 weeks leading up to training camp and getting their body ready, but also getting their mindset ready.
Well, I think you have tiers, and as this is on any team that you're on, you got the guys that are always motivated, that coming into about right now, like you said, 2 or 3 weeks before camp, they tuning everything out. They getting their families ready to know that they not going to be around, and they are getting their minds. I mean, these may be guys that are visualizing already, and they're ready to go 2 or 3 weeks before camp. And then you got guys that totally get away from football when the season over. Their schedule is, January through whatever. I'm working out, and it ain't, I'm not dealing with nothing football related. And, they get back into it, and they nothing but conditioning. Then you have guys, believe it or not, having a contract don't make you a professional. But there's a level of guys in the pros that aren't professional. They have contracts. They come to training camp out of shape. They can't wait for the end of the year so they can start smoking. I'm gonna keep it a buck. And it is like it was in high school. You have some guys that's going to touch the line every time, and you got some guys that's going to stop a yard short any chance that they get. And so I think that's the difference, and that's why you always have to make sure that you want the job. Because if somebody comes in there and wants it worse than you, you're going to lose your job when you least expect it. And there's already enough things that we don't control in the league. A coach could not like you. And I'm a guy that, because I was a creative and I got cut early, I got drafted in the 3rd round, cut the 5th game of the year because it was some static between the agent, which I had a black agent in 92, so that in itself, and me holding out 3 weeks and getting drafted a receiver, but just had played running back. It's enough things that you don't control that you got to control the things that you can. And so to your point, you 2-3 weeks out. If you haven't been working out already, you're in trouble. But I think it's more of a mental thing now. It's like we're getting ready to know that you're going to go. And again, it's changed a lot. At Baltimore, Ted Marchibroda was my first coach at Baltimore. We had, I think, 18 days straight, pad 2 a day, like legit. And when we went shells just meant that you got your shoulder pads on, and you had to have at least your thigh pads in, which when you're in training camp trying to make the team, that's full pads. I mean, that's how they play. They don't wear that now. And so it's changed a lot. But at this point right here, you've either sealed, really, you've done the work that's needed to be done. You're not going to get ready in 2 weeks. You're probably going to go out there and tear a hamstring or something because your body's not going to be able to deal with it. But again, I think different tiers of guys that prepare different ways, the amount of time that they do.
Wow. That is amazing. Trey, tell me a little bit about the transition for you heading into an NFL training camp. And at least you had the luxury of having a dad who could help you learn how to be a professional pretty quickly. I would imagine that's an advantage, but I'm shocked that guys show up out of shape. I know there's no way in hell you would have done that.
No, that wasn't happening. And like having someone like my dad who had been through it, so I understand what it takes to be prepared. But again, at the same time, it's not like my dad was in my apartment or with me at the hotel looking over my shoulder like, hey, you doing this, you doing that, or are you drinking enough water? So at the same time, you're a grown man, right? You have to prepare like a professional if this is a profession you want to pursue, like Corey said. So you immediately see those kind of guys, right? Like I'm not going to call out any names, but I'm in Miami in 2019. We have young rookies who thought that the weight limit was just a game. And then they're 6 pounds over and they're getting fined $2,000 per pound. And then they cough up $12,000 and they're like, oh, this is for real. And then you have a veteran who probably was supposed to be competing for a starting job on our team. And he comes in and fails conditioning test. And it's a joke, right? It's funny. We laugh at the video in the team meeting room. Then he comes out, has a bad preseason game. And then the very next meeting, he's hung over in the special teams meeting. Well, 2 days later, he's cut, and they owed him, a couple $1 million guaranteed. So, like, you see it on both ends, right? It's what are guys willing to give up? Like Corey said, the weed, the having fun all the time when it's time to be about business. You learn that very quickly. So there are veterans who are not that great at being professionals. There are rookies who are the same way. They just have no idea, right? As a young guy, you're experimenting really with what it takes to be prepared in the off season, right? Like you don't know, you just came out of combine, pro day training, you got drafted or you got signed, you're all excited. You're running through mini camp, trying to learn all these different things through the OTA period. And then you have this free time for the very first time. So you're trying to figure out like, all right, how hard do I have to work out? When do I need to rest so that I'm not dead going into training camp and my legs feel like I'm still trying to get ready for the first day of OTA. So it's a really fine line, and you're just trying to figure it out one day at a time.
Yeah.
The veteran guys who have done it for years and they've refined their off-season program, like Corey said, they know exactly what they want to do. Hey, this time period, talk to me. This time period, vacation. This time period, don't even call my phone. Like, you know what it is. I'm going to pay these bills and lock in. So it's trying to figure all of that out, and it's different for every guy. So that's what this time is about, and there are guys in it on every end of that spectrum.
Yeah. Hey, Tazim, take me back to your first training camp. Did you have to manufacture some Superman level of confidence coming from the Mecca at Howard University and then going up against guys from the SEC, from the ACC, from the Pac-10? From the Big Ten? Was that something that was in the back of your mind, or had you already owned the mind space that, I'm going in here to make this team and that's what it is?
And with a lot of confidence, because you got to remember the timing of Howard's football program. I mean, we were sending guys to the NFL at that point, pretty much almost
every year.
My freshman year, there were a couple that got drafted. There was one that got drafted during the process of me coming that first spring after I signed.
Yep.
That was Harvey got drafted. Again, after my freshman year, 2 people got drafted. So that was when Jimmy got drafted and Javis got drafted. So then the following year after that, Troy Cowles got signed, won a Super Bowl with the Giants. And then the year after that, Sean Van Horst, who was my defensive backfield mate, got drafted. So again, I didn't have that, probably what you would think coming from an academic school, very similar to obviously Corey's situation with Vanderbilt. I mean, Vanderbilt is not known for just, rolling guys into the NFL, even though they play in the SEC. They are the academic institution in the SEC. And, that's why Howard, man, even myself initially, doctors and lawyers, you're not thinking football players, but again, that phase of it, I went in with confidence. However, I'm going to be 100% transparent when I tell you, when I got to the NFL from Howard, who had we had the biggest line in football, not just college football. Howard University had the biggest offensive line in football.
Period.
Well, folks, NFL offensive linemen don't look like college offensive linemen. So when I tell you, when I got there, and I saw NFL players from one end of the locker room to the other. It was a room full of, I would say, it probably has, what would you say, Corey and Trey? 80-20 rule, pretty much like every other part of life. So about 80% of them, you like, oh, hell, this what they're talking about right here. Yeah. And then 20%, you're like, how the hell this joke, how he get here?
Right.
Who look a little funny. But again, that 80%, the majority of the league, bruh, the lineman is a big, let me see, the best way to describe an NFL lineman. A lineman would be a blown up version of what you're probably used to seeing in a linebacker at the other levels. So imagine that body just bigger, like 6'7", 6'6", and 315 pounds. And we ain't talking about no stomach hanging over the belt. Just a bigger version of that. That's what an NFL lineman is. Yeah, right. So, I mean, for me, seeing that was a little shocking, right? I fear no one. So getting there, being the type of athlete I was, and initially, obviously, everything is just athletic stuff. So we're going through the DB drills, all the stuff we've always done. So, and that stuff, you know, everybody looking pretty nice. At least the group we had, Corey. I mean, we had some pretty solid dudes. I mean, as a matter of fact, I would say the guys with the worst feet were probably the guys who had the longest tenure. I mean, Mike Pryor, Tim Hawk. I mean, they were just them guys who knew how to make it every year. I mean, they were just hustlers. But I mean, we had some athletes, bro. I mean, Leroy was an anomaly, I believe, because he wasn't a great athlete. He was a great football player.
He was a better athlete. You know, what throw you off about Leroy? First of all, knock knee, pigeon toe, and got a belly.
Right. That's what I'm saying. He just didn't look the part at all.
He got that Florida State instinct. Instinct. He got the heart to go after the play, and he got the instinct to know the play gonna be there. I feel like George Teague is one of those guys, and I think, you know, that's just one of those things that DB and Mark, I was gonna say, you know, when you're talking to Tim coming from Howard, I think one of the things is once you get out there beyond the drills and to competition, like my first play on defense was Bray Rosen telling me to go down there, and my first play was against Sterling Sharp. And I didn't get off and play coverage because I'm like, okay, I know my technique because of how I grew up and I could play, but I haven't played defense in 6 years. My first play was bump and run. And so I think, you know, once you get in and settle, and I played with several players from HBCUs in the summer. That's when my work was against with Vanderbilt and Tennessee State guys. And Tennessee State was sending out guys over and over. And one of y'all fabulous, Randy Fuller, is one of my closest friends. So, you know, when it's time, you still got to play. That's the thing, right? Yeah, I went to Howard or I went to Tuskegee. Yeah, but you still got to come out here and play. And so SEC, it don't matter where you went, because it's going to come a time during training camp where the bullets are live and the interview is live, and you got to get out there and show. And, you know, even if you get cut, the players know who can play. Right? You know what I'm saying? The players know, they talk about it in the locker room. Coaches might cut you, they might do whatever, but players know who can play. The dogs know who the dogs are, no matter whether you getting playing time or not. If you ain't getting playing time, they're going to encourage you to keep your head up because they like, bro, you should be on the field. You know what I'm saying? It's just something that's undeniable. So I think, you know, whatever aura that you come in with, whether you're on the top side of it or somebody's aura shining on you, at some point you got to strap that thing up and you got to show. You got to show and give.
Yeah, for sure. Tazim, we have a very similar situation to what Corey experienced, as he just mentioned, the transition from wide receiver to DB. And the Packers have a unique situation like that, too, with Bo Melton, the 4-3-4 guy who's going to be moving to the defensive backfield. In this day and age, is athleticism enough? Is he going to be able to handle that transition? I mean, came from the era that you guys played in, so I love it and respect the Jerry Rices of the world, but now we got DK Metcalfs and such. I mean, you're seeing another kind of athlete. It's almost like having a power forward out there, with 4.4 speed. So tell me a little bit about this transition and how you expect it to play out.
Well, let me first of all say this is going to give me an opportunity to brag on the champion a little bit, and it's actually why I wanted him on this episode.
Mm-hmm.
When I tell you, remember what I was just talking about the feet of the athletes we had in the DB?
Sure.
Now, obviously, I didn't necessarily know the history of Corey Harris at that time. 12 NFL seasons later, and us meeting, and he even took over my place when I ended up leaving Green Bay. And so we had, we kept the connection. Then he ended up playing in I think it was the AFC West at the time when he was up there in Seattle and I was with Kansas City. But when I tell you NFL athlete, bruh, and dog, the reason Corey was able to transition to be a defensive back in the NFL, having not done it since high school, was because he was a dog who was a great athlete. And there was nothing, as he shared earlier, there was nothing that he wouldn't do when they told this is what we're doing. He was going to go do it. He was going to go do it. And he mentioned earlier about the case where they did the 18 days or 2 days. And now understand, when we came into the NFL, we had 5 weeks of training camp, 2 days, 5 weeks. When we did practices, full go practices, and this is even with a coach who took care of you. Holmgren would be comparatively a coach who takes care of you. But when we did basically the best way I could describe it, if you remember back in the day, the corner force drill. When we did the force drill, that joker right there, bruh, what? You better strap him up. You better strap him up. He coming, bruh. But again, that's why I wanted him on here. He can really explain what his mindset was in making that transition, because that's what I believe Bo has in common with Corey Harris.
Okay.
Bo is a great athlete, but he's a dog.
Yeah. Before we let you touch on that, Corey, Trey, how important is it that Bo make this transition successfully in order for the Pack to get back to Titletown?
It's going to be it's his way to continue to have the impact on the team that he's had, right? Like 2 years ago, he's the first receiver on the team to have a 100-yard game. Since he's been in Green Bay, been one of the best special teamers, arguably one of the best gunners across the league in general. But moving forward, right, like he sees how much they've invested into the wide receiver room. What is now his fastest route to that same caliber of impact? It's on the other side of the ball where there's some question marks. Corner position, sign Nate Hobbs. He's going to play somewhere. Keyshawn has been a reigning starter for 2 years, but they've tried him out in a variety of roles, right? First, he was a returner only. Then he's returner and nickel slot guy. Now he's returner outside corner. So where is he going to end up in the shuffle? Carrington Valentine been in and out of the lineup at various times. So there is an opening. Bo gets to now decide, am I going to put in enough effort? Do I have the capabilities to continue to make that same type of impact on the roster in a completely new way? But attack it the same way that he's attacked everything else, right? Like he was a late round draft pick for Seattle, gets cut, comes into Green Bay, creates his own opportunity from scratch. And he gets just another chance to do that again, right? And continue to extend his career. But he's been an impact guy for Green Bay. So if he wants to continue to be that, this is his route to it.
Yeah. Corey, touch on the transition for us. What needs to be his primary focus as he makes this transition? The good thing is he's going to see a hell of a lot of competition and he'll have a good idea as to what the league play will be, because he's going to see some dogs on the other side of the ball running routes against him. So he's going to get good work in practice.
Yeah. And I think it's a couple of things, but I think the most important thing is, does he want to? Right? What you're capable of is a thing, but what you're willing to do is a thing, but then wanting to. Like, I wanted to be Eric Dickerson, right? I rushed for 1,100 yards in the SEC. I was a running back that got drafted as a receiver, and really it was a good move because I would have been. You imagine a guy in Tim. You know how my feet were, but I was a big slot receiver when there were only 3 teams running shoot. But again, you headbutt with the organization. it don't always work out. So getting cut, I hadn't played special teams. They wanted to actually cut me, but the special teams coach came to me the night before the game and said, they're going to play you the whole game. And they moved me from inside receiver to outside receiver the night before the game. And I was playing all special teams. But what they didn't know is the guy that they drafted me to replace was Drew Hill. My training was in Atlanta. My agent, Richard Dent and Brian Ransom, had the agency. That's who I was with. Marco Coleman, with those guys, Willie Clay. Our training was at Georgia Tech, and Drew Hill was teaching me the whole offense, which is why I have to hold out for 3 weeks, because I'm learning the offense from the guy that I got drafted to replace, because him and my agent was tight. But I'm the type of guy, I'm going to have options. I'm going to know multiple positions. Somebody mess around and not have a helmet, and somebody need to be on the field, I'm going to run out there. Do. You know, for me, at the point that I recognize, okay, they don't see me as an NFL running back. I'm dynamic with the ball in my, but I wanted to play football. I wanted to be on the team. I wanted to be on the field. I led Green Bay in tackle. I got to Green Bay my first year. I got cut the 5th game of the year in Houston. I go to Green Bay. I sit out 1 week. So I guess I must have played maybe 7 weeks or 8 weeks. I led the team in special teams tackle. I had never played special teams in terms of covering kicks. In fact, the first kick I covered in Houston, I almost tore my shoulder up on tackling, somebody. But to make that transition, one, I think you have to want to do it. I think you have to want to do it. You got to think about it. You got DBs that have been DBs and are good at being a DB that want to make the team, right? So you got to take whatever skill you got for football, not as a receiver, right? What's your information intake and information processing? And these are the things that I think that allow me to do it. I was on 2 different offenses, run and shoot, West Coast offense, and then my last years are at defense. You're talking about nickel for 2 years, starting corner outside at Seattle for 2 years, and then safety my last 6 years. So how does he transition and go from that offense that they run to getting all this information? And if they're going to play in both ways, okay, it's stacked. And so I had a whole year of that until I hurt my knee, and Green Bay said, now we just going to leave you on defense. But how does he transition from a knowledge standpoint of his own system? So that's the whole thing. So you got to learn the defense. So how does he do that? Then you have to be able to use the techniques that they are implementing. And so, can you play bump and run? Can you play off? Are they going to play? Or is he what position? Is he going to be a nickel? Is he going to be a dime? Is he going to be a safety, or is he going to be a corner? Right? And so, to your point, Trey, that's what it was for me. Like, yeah, I'm going to do whatever is necessary to make the team. And so it may mean that I don't get to get on the phone at night, because guess what? They want me to learn offense and defense, because guys, then the thing for me that was bad, it was like I was an insurance policy, right? To the point that the value wasn't that I could do everything. It was treated more, again, just like an insurance policy. So even if I was starting their corner, in their mind already, they can make other moves in other places, because if something happened, they can move this person to corner. We can move Corey to nickel. We can move Corey to safety. And that's how my contracts were always dealt with. It's like, okay, he's a starter. He can do this. He can do that. But it wasn't looked at as a Swiss Army knife like it is now. And I believe that's the thing that is really holding teams back. I believe if a guy like, and I can't say this because I'm not in his head, but I just look at what I hear on TV, and I see him line up all the time in the same spot. Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
It's like I've heard that they give him the freedom to line up anywhere and do certain things, but you always see him, not always, but I can almost predict he's going to be on the left side. And why is he going to be on the left side? Because he's trying to get them sacks. Right? Versus he on this side one time, he in the middle one time, he back just behind the linebacker. It's like the versatility that comes and how versatility can help your team, especially a guy that gets 100 yards in a game, and it's not trick play. So we don't have to design something just for him so that they can say, well, anytime he's in the backfield or anytime he's lined up here is this. I think versatility is the one thing that the league is being forced to accept. The skill set at quarterback. Why was mobility ever a liability? Make that make sense. The fact that a quarterback like Michael Vick could do what he could do, why wouldn't in your brain say, oh, this is the LA Lakers, this is magic, we're going to change the whole offense? You know what I'm saying? So they look at you, they stereotype certain things, so they don't have an open mind to use a guy like that, or use, they're using Debo Samuel that way. But even him, I feel like if he just took it and said, you know what, I'm the most versatile player in the league.
Right.
You can line me up anywhere, coach. You feel what I'm saying? You can line me up anywhere. We can run any play. Pay me like that now, because, I can be hurt running back. But give me the 40 mil and let's exploit everything. And I feel like if you get 2 or 3 players like that on offense, where you don't have to take them off the field, so you can keep the big boys. As Tim was saying, they big, Mark, but they ain't in shape. They got to come off the field every 3 or 4 plays. And so that versatility, to me, it's a major asset. And so I think if the Packers don't like him, guess what? It's an interview. Everybody ain't got to like you, just one team. And if you play 4 positions, that's 128 positions available on first team. Go down to second team. So it's there. So for him, I think it's just a matter of learning the system. What's the system? And showing that you can actually play, because when you get the defense, it's different than offense. Obviously, you got fits. This guy going here, you got to be here.
Yeah, man.
And we start talking about the skies, and then somebody motion, and the defense change. That's a whole nother thing. Offense you set, and if something happened, the quarterback changes the play, and I got a curve, I got a dig, or I got this. And defense, some stuff might be read on the fly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the most difficult part. But to that point, Bucky Brooks told me Notre Dame High School out in California, where my stepson was, we were taking him out there to play. He told me the story. He said, he was a speed guy. I think he ran track at Carolina as well. But they wanted to move him to defense. And he said they set him down and showed him all of my film. Special team, some of the offensive stuff, and defense. And they showed him, and he told me, they told him, like, we feel like you can do this.
Right.
And but if you want to play, you do what need to be done.
Exactly.
You want that check?
Yeah. Kazim, why aren't we seeing more opportunities like that for today's players? Is it, well, I don't really want to get hurt, so don't be experimenting with me? Or is it, I just don't feel like doing it?
Coaches have to be able to coach and also evaluate. So you got to understand it requires a higher level of the people making the decision to even attempt to put the guy there than the guy being there. Because for the most part, I will tell you this. You could take all of those guys on that spectrum that Corey mentioned at the very beginning, from the, I'll just say, diehard to the casual. Because there are some guys, I promise you, you're like, how the hell does this dude keep making the team? Like, literally, when I was in Green Bay, I'm going to tell this before I really go into the next part of it. But when I was in Green Bay, we had one of the craziest conditioning tests in the first place, because we had to run quarters. But so we get there. And so I know anybody who's ever run track knows what the quarter. I mean, the quarter is for horses. I mean, it is a man killer. You hear me? I mean, I've seen many of people be done for the day after running one quarter. So we literally had quarters for a damn conditioning test. Now, they came to meet me during the offseason for my condition test. I was done. By the time I got there, I was done with everything. And you had to run a 40 in a certain amount of time. So we had the 40. We had almost a few different things that were kind of like the combine stuff. I remember the 40. And I don't even know what the penalty was if you didn't make your 40. You remember, Corey?
No, I don't remember.
So I don't know what the penalty was. But anyway, so we had the 40 and we had the quarter. So I get there. And a few guys who hadn't, done their condition test yet, they were getting ready to do it. Cam was getting ready to take them to this track to go do their condition test. Hey, man, come on, T, man, run it with us so you can pace us. I was like, man, dude, you act like a quarter is something that we like doing. Like, are you serious? So I said, all right, bro. I said, all right, this is what I'm gonna do. I said, I'll run halfway. I'll run it half with y'all. Now this is the funny part. I ain't gonna say the man's name, but he was a wide receiver who came to us from Miami. We get there at this place, we get ready to run the quarter. We walk up, this joker sitting on the bench smoking a cigarette. Look, you talking about somebody that has never smoked a cigarette in my life. So I sure didn't understand how it was gonna fit into doing this conditioning test. My man smoking a cigarette when I get up. So I just wanted to say that to say, I mean, bro, there's so many different levels of what's there, what's in the league. But in order for it to happen and to be able to utilize players to the best of their abilities, you have to actually really have some relativity as a coach and be able to evaluate and coach them. With that, in my closing, I'm going to say that's not really what exists today, bro. The coaching tree is really about some good old boys that know one another and they keep rolling them through. And if you think about it, most of them have never played football at a very high level, but they're telling high-level athletes what they need to do.
Yeah, make that make sense.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Trey, is specialization kind of leading to that lack of versatility that we see as well? You know, you got these parents out here, and I'm sure Corey can attest, you got a receivers coach, you got a running back coach, you got a long snapper coach, you got a kicking coach. You know, everybody's a specialist these days and everybody only plays one place. Is that some of the issue here?
Yeah, there's definitely a general sense of football knowledge that's not being passed down the same way it was even when I played. Speaking on the coaching thing, right? You have 8-year-olds who are quarterbacks, and then they're quarterbacks at 12 and quarterbacks at 16, and then they're not very good. And then like, that's it, right? Like they were never anything else outside of a quarterback because their dad decided, oh, he's going to be Tom Brady. He's going to be Lamar Jackson, whatever the case is. And it's like, that's not how it works. Like they're 9 years old with a red jersey on and no one's touching them at football practice because you don't hit the quarterback. Like that applies at the highest levels of the sport. Like let's teach kids the game first, right? And then you have another set of kids who everyone just wants to play offense. Everyone wants to be a running back. Everyone wants to be a receiver. But then they forget that there's a lot of other positions on the field, and there's generally only one running back at a time, right? Like there's 2 to 3 receivers for the most part at a time, occasionally 4, but like there's only one ball. So like receivers, learn how to play corner, learn how to play safety. If you're a running back, you might need to play safety or linebacker. You know what I mean? If you're big, you probably need to be a tight end or a defensive end. There's a ton of different ways that the game should be being developed that it's just not right now. So guys don't have, just like what Corey was talking about, that general football understanding. And then you again, like my dad said, coaches have to be able to see that level of understanding and understand where they can apply it, right? Like best fullback in the game right now was a linebacker. Half of the best fullbacks, Ricard for the Ravens, he was a defensive tackle. Then the Chargers, I think his name is Matlock, defensive tackle. Keith Smith played for a couple different teams for a really long time, was a linebacker in college. Like, you have to see that crossover. And it's natural, right? The physicality of a linebacker and what are fullbacks asked to do most of the time? Block somebody. And it's not fun, and you have to do it every play. So there's a natural crossover there that just makes sense. And then you add the fact that if guys can play both, you can be my emergency linebacker and my fullback and play special teams. Now you're saving roster spots. So there's so many layers that go into it that it just seems like for whatever reason are lacking at different levels of the sport, all the way up to the highest level. But it's just part of what the situation is today.
Yeah.
Mark, imagine a martial arts instructor teaching a kid and only teaching them how to use nunchucks.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always pissed me off. It's like, why did it take so long for even basketball to become almost positionless? Like, you weren't born 6'8". Why you can't dribble and shoot free throws? Like, and so with me for years, my linemen catch 100, 200 balls a day. Because in youth, who wants to play football and not get to touch the ball? I go to practice all day as a 9-year-old and won't even get to touch the ball. Not before practice, not during practice, not after practice. But these things are basic fundamentals, which are things like Tizim we talked about before. Like football is blocking, is tackling, is exchanging the ball, is protecting the ball, is catching the ball. I hate playing ball with kids and they can't throw the football.
I have no clue.
No clue how to hold it, how to catch it, how to tuck it, how to take a handoff, how to block. These are fundamentals of football. And the other thing that pisses me off is when a quarterback throws an interception and can't make a freaking tackle.
Right.
It irks the living man. You threw the interception, make the tackle.
Right.
And you know how to make the tackle because you've been playing football for 20 years.
Right. All right. But Corey, I hear you. My grandson quit because he never touched the ball in practice, played for 3 seasons. So I get it. Yeah, look, Corey, while we have this valuable time with you, let's talk about the business of the NFL. You know, the Packers and the team that Christian is on there is one of those legacy franchises. And I think Baltimore became that with your team, that 2001 championship team. What do you think the most important ingredient is when it comes to putting together that championship team? Because, I mean, you guys had a ton of talent, but you guys played with a kind of tenacity we don't see a lot. You could talk about Buddy Ryan's 46D there with Seth Joyner and those guys. You could talk about Richard Dent and those guys, the monsters of the Midway, Wilbur Marshall and those guys. And then there's you guys with Ray and the kind of viciousness that the game is supposed to be played with. But you also got things done on the offensive side of the ball as well. So what is that secret ingredient that a team like the Packers need, who've been knocking on the door, who's close to greatness, needs to get over the hump and bring home that championship?
I think it's 3 levels of leadership, right? Obviously, you know, you got your front office and the people that bring the talent in. You have the coaches who decide how they're going to use that talent and what offense and what defense, and because it is strategy, what chess games we're going to play in all 4 phases of the game. And I say 4 phases because I believe offensive special teams and defensive special teams are 2 different phases of the game. You have offense and defense, and then you have the level is the team. And I remember when Brian Billick and Marvin, they had a talk with our team. And, you know, we had those levels of leadership. The front office was awesome. And Ozzie Newsome, the Models allowed him to do what he needed to do. He brought in guys, the coaches, Marvin, with that defense that we had. All 4 phases of the game were legit. Leadership on the team. Rod Woodson, Ray Lewis, Jonathan Ogden, Trent Dilfer. That core leadership on the team was there. But it's the team, right? It's the team. And the most important aspect of that, and one of the things, I can't remember what point of the year it was. It was probably a midway point when I think Brian Billick really believed and Marvin really believed that we could go all the way. And we had a team meeting, and basically the crux of that was, you guys, I'm done with the curfew. We ain't having no curfews. We're not having police in the hotels. I'm just going to tell you flat out, we got everything it takes to win.
Wow.
But if you're not going to be a professional, it's going to get pissed down the drain, right? We have everything it takes. And when you talk about getting down even more specific, Marvin talked to guys that were in contract years. You know, Mike McCurry was a sack machine, but Marvin was like, look, Matt, you got to play the run too. Because when you don't play the run, you just go upfield, it's somebody coming off the edge. If everybody does their job, right, your plays are gonna come. But if you just every time in 70 plays, you going out the quarterback and you get 2 sacks, you going to get paid. Yeah, you're going to get paid in the year because you got 13, 14 sacks. But we're not going to win the Super Bowl. We're not going to make it through the playoffs. And I think for us, the entire team bought in. I give you an example. Jermaine Lewis didn't return kicks all year. That's a pounding that you take on your body. He a little guy. I was a kick returner. Me and Patrick Johnson, I was the main kick returner. I had the first kickoff return in Ravens history as a safety. You know, a lot of guys didn't know that I played running back. So they would, I don't know how they found this out during the game, but they would come out, I'm like, bro, you played running back in college? We're in the middle of a game. And I'm like, what? Yeah, I'm like, man, you play safety. Why do you got your ass back there returning kick? Like, bro, that's crazy. But we bought in. So the guys that were special teams guys, oh no, bro, I'm talking about we putting $150 each in the pot. You know what I'm saying? Except for the two safeties and the kicker. We got $150 each in the pot. You get a tackle inside the 20, it's yours. The defense in practice, the first 4 plays of scout team, it's all starters. Why? So we got $1,000 on the first pick. You know what I'm saying? So once we believed that we had the coaches to put us in the right position, because they just said it. The coach has to recognize what he has so he can use it to the best of its ability to achieve the goal. We had Robert Bailey. We had James Trapp. Now, all the guys that were second team on defense were special team stars. Like, we getting to it. I got Billy Davis on one side. I got Cornell Brown, Brad Jackson, James Trapp. Like, this is special team. So you got guys on special team that's geek to go down and get a tackle. That's geek to make they block. You know what I mean? And so once you got those first 2 layers, it comes down to those last 2. The team leadership and the team. Like, the team has to decide. We didn't have police at our door like they do on the floors at most, even colleges and pros. Because Brian Billy was like, once we got to that point where it was like, nah, we got it. You know what I'm saying? He was like, y'all grown men. Y'all grown. If you don't want to get what we have an opportunity to get, that's on y'all. Cause and he said it, we coaches. We put y'all in position to do it. So if you want to F it up, stay out to 3 and getting in the accident or not studying or whatever. And within our own team, we made up a thing. We didn't go out after third. Like Friday night, we didn't really kick it. We didn't kick it hard because we knew 48 hours before, it did something. So we might go to DC. I'm with me, Ray, Shannon, and Rod. I mean, Shannon would catch a cab from DC. If we didn't leave on time from Ray's house, he ain't gonna even be in the limo. He out of there. He ain't, you know what I'm saying? He gonna go, we gonna hang. He gonna be home by midnight. Same thing with Rod. And so we just had the leadership on the team. I mean, and to the point, training camp. Sunday. Nobody practicing on Sunday. You played on Saturday. You chilling. You get maybe Sunday night. But Sunday in the daytime, we leaving. Training camp wasn't in Owens Mills at the time. I forgot where it was. But on Sunday, I go over to Owens Mills at the facility, and Ray, Shannon, Rod, 2, 3, 4 other guys running and lifting going into that season because we had the feeling, we knew that we had the chance to do it. So the most important thing is certainly that on-field leadership in all 4 aspects of the game.
Right. Hey, Tazim, can you use Brian Billick's approach with today's athlete? Do you think it would fly?
Well, I think you absolutely can if you set the foundation for it. What you cannot do is allow your culture to become something and then think you're going to all of a sudden bring down the hammer. Yeah. That's where you end up in a bad situation. But one, you got to remember, you're drafting supposedly your type of player, right? And I would say that Green Bay might be the perfect example of a culture-based organization. I mean, look at the types of players that they've chosen since we've been back close with the team. I mean, it is very much one that is based upon high character, team guys. I mean, so if you're doing all that, then why not hold them to a higher standard? Like, what are we doing? I think Corey is being about as transparent as can be as it relates to what it's about. Because if you really have the selfish guy that is just business, because you got to understand that there are guys who play football just for the money. Like, don't even like it. Like, don't even watch it. I mean, they play because it pays a lot of money.
Good job.
So the thing is, what's the majority culture? and who are the leaders. You cannot have a bad apple leader. If you have a bad apple leader, then no, you can't do it. But in today's environment, the way it can be done is if it starts up top and it's consistent at all levels. You have to identify the leadership and let it actually organically become the leader. Don't be somebody that actually cuts off the legs of your leaders. Let your leaders lead as a coach. And if they're following your culture, they used to have, Corey, what were they called? The like the leadership meetings where the coach would meet with the captain.
It was just a team cap. It was team captain during that first year. Well, I don't remember that first year, but maybe my second year there after you were gone. Like Leroy, Reggie White, like you just had 5 guys that the coach could talk to that represented the team, and those guys talk to the thing. Like, we need a break. But it doesn't do any, like you said, it doesn't do any good where they go up and they're like, look, coach, the team we beat up, the guys are hurting, yada, yada, yada. And the coach be like, oh, well, we back in pads again today. But when you have that good reciprocating relationship and you listen to communication, because after all, back when we played, it was boss and employee. I won't use what I want to use. It was boss and employee. Right? It's partnership.
Right.
It's partnership, because I've been on the field plenty of times when the play was changed. Ray changed the play, or Rod changed the play, or I changed the play because I'm in the game. I know what's going on. I know D. Stark's ankle is messed up and he ain't going to be able to cover Jimmy Smith in no blitz coverage this play. Like, so there has to be a trust that's developed and respected. So when the team captains come to the coach and say, coach, we need to break this. You got to throw us a bone. And you come back down and everybody tired. And now we know that they went up there to talk. And now all of a sudden we ain't got to do nothing but go out and do conditioning and we done. Right? Now that respect and that trust comes and you continue to gather and you get to do it. But at the end of the day, it's been said over and over, you got to know your players. You got to be a self-aware coach, and you got to be aware of your team. Like, if you're not self-aware and you just think you got it all, you know it all, and you can't read your team, you like, that's like owning a pit bull and can't read. You know what I mean? Or owning a bull, a real bull. You know what I'm saying? And he like his foot moving, he's snorting. He ain't looking at you, but he rubbing his foot and he's snorting, right? You still gonna go petting. I say, I'm about to run your ass over. I ain't looking at it. You feel what I'm saying? But I feel you about to get trapped. But you're going to go over there and still pet him because you had him for 10 years. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a lack of self-awareness.
Yeah.
With coaches in the NFL.
Hey, Trey, from, 2001 Hard Knocks was probably the best one ever, right after the Super Bowl win on the team that Corey was on there. But we saw the sense of chemistry that came along with that team. A lot of the players were holdovers. From your insight and what you gather from Christian and from being around the team, what is the chemistry like up there in Green Bay heading into this season? Do they have that kind of championship DNA or makeup?
From everything I've ever heard with Christian or from being up there and seeing how they interact, the dudes that he hangs out with, which is a large portion of the team, like, they have great relationships, right? Like, you see Jordan just got married. You see how many players were now. A couple of them had weddings on the same day. I think it was like Jordan Love, McDuffie, and I think Clifford had a wedding on the same day. So maybe those 3 aren't the best of friends, because I don't know how you schedule that one like that. But, like, for the most part, they really are good friends, right? Like, seeing Christian out in public with a bunch of the wide receivers, seeing him doing different things with just a variety of members on the team. And it also helps, right? This team is extremely young, right? Like, you can count on one hand how many dudes they have over the age of 30. So the group is in a similar mindset. They're in a similar place of life. They've all come from a similar era of college football, of dealing with the NIL and the changing landscape of all this stuff. So they're familiar with each other in general. Then they, get to see each other play, which is something that this generation, that's all they know, right? Like, every game of big time college football is on TV everywhere. So they see all of it. So they've known these dudes on Instagram, Twitter, been texting him for years, even before they became teammates. So it seems like they have a great connection. And then it's what both of those guys just talked about is the leadership at the top relinquishing control of the team to the team at some point. You have to recognize when you're able to do that. It's not the head coach's team. Once he's put in the plays and they go out there on first down, like they said, he can call a play. If Jordan thinks that's the best play to run, they're going to run it. If he thinks it's something else, they're going to run that. Whatever happens once they walk on that field between those lines is out of their control. So you already are going to relinquish it at some point anyway. Put that trust and that faith in the guys that you've invested so much in, and then allow them to bear whatever fruit they're going to bear.
Absolutely. Well, wow, this has been a fascinating 60 minutes. Corey, before we let you go, I'd like to ask you what the game of football has meant to you. If you could share that with us for our viewers. People play the game for a lot of reasons. I played because I couldn't get enough of it, couldn't stop watching it, and always wanted to be Drew Pearson. He was my idol growing up. I got a sweatband from him at football camp, and I wanted to be Drew Pearson for my entire life. But, the game has done so much for so many people. What has it done for you, and what has it meant to you in your life?
Man, I could write a book on it. I could also, like when I was pledging, the guys say, cry for Kappa. When I first started pledging, I'm like, okay, this is another trick. Like, what's going on? Cry for Kappa, God. But a whole semester later, and that same brother came back to visit me. You know what I'm saying? Cry for Kappa. It wasn't 5 seconds later that I was crying and bawling. And so, when it means something to you, it's a lot. And for a guy like myself that at 9 years old started playing the game, I'm the type of guy I would have played professional football for whatever a regular salary, right? It was never about the money for me. I love the game, but when you talk about, man, the relationship, the financial impact, for me, I love kids. So to have the shield on and be able to walk in a place and have these kids' attention for the next 10, 15, 20 minutes, knowing that you can impact their lives, knowing that you can inspire them, knowing that you can give them something that's going to change their life. Just the other day, I was in Nashville. I'm in Indianapolis right now, but I was in Nashville and I saw a kid, man, it was like 90-some degrees. He's a running back and he was out there by himself. Huge park, nobody out there. And I just pulled back around. I introduced myself. I told him I played 12 years. And this is what it means to me, to be able to pull over, say that I played, and tell him that he's doing the right thing, to tell him to look around. Who do you see? Nobody. Nobody. You don't see nobody? Because they don't want it like you hear them talking about they want it. If it was easy, this park would be packed. And I told him, when people start talking different than you, they don't want the same thing you want when it comes to this. And I was like, what you doing right now? I said, no matter how tired you get, just know that you're on the right path. And I said, it's not even about football. All right. It's the fact that you're willing to do what Trey said earlier. You got the discipline to do what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, how it needs to be done, as often as it needs to be done to get to the goal. You got the attitude that it takes to make it. And you out here sacrifice, which is the key. If you're not going to sacrifice, you're not going to make it. And so, man, it means so much to be able to do things that I've been able to do for my family, to be able to go places I've been able to go, to meet the guys that I've been able to meet in the locker room, the camaraderie that comes with that, to, as an entertainer, to be able to be on the field and be in front of tens of thousands of people live and hundreds of thousands of millions of people on television is just overwhelming. It's surreal. But more importantly, because it was always just a game, to be able to have a love affair from the first time I played it with Pick Up the Smear, where you throw it up and it's just you against everybody else, all the way to my 12th year, to have that type of relationship with the game as a player for that long, man. I mean, I'm trying to articulate it, but I can't. To be able to live a life that people dream about, that you've dreamt about, and millions would continue to dream about, and for God to reward your discipline, reward your sacrifice and hard work within His will, man, I can't say. It's just an amazing life. And, I can't complain as much as you hear us talk about they need to be doing this, they need to be doing that, man. Most of us really wouldn't change. Even with guys getting CTE, ALS, all these different things, if you told them they went back in life and did it again and they was going to end up with the same thing, they probably wouldn't change nothing but how they dealt with their money. They're going to go out there and take that risk because it's an undescribable love affair that football is. And it's why I still try to give kids whatever I can, because I know ultimately 99.9% of them are not going to make it. But that energy that you put into it, that work that you put into it, that mental time that you put into it is going to be the thing that's going to allow you to go on and be successful and reach your goals in that same way in life. And Trey, I just want to say, man, you're going to make an awesome coach or in this media game. I think you got, you know what I'm saying? Just when you talk about the Packers, you're not talking like it's just because your brother is playing. It's like, you know what I'm saying? You know the roster, you know what's going on. And just to hear you speak, you remind me of your dad. But I can see you, you know what I'm saying? I can see you're a lot more calm than him. He the pit on the chain, but you know what I'm saying? I can tell you sitting there ready to do the same thing, but he, you know what I'm saying? He barking at you and he gonna eat you up.
That's funny. I appreciate it though.
That's
man.
awesome. Yeah, man. Tazim will give you the final word.
Hey, man. Look, first of all, let me say this about the Green Bay roster. Trey, you can count them on one finger because I think McManus is the only one over 30. So you can count them on one finger. And I think we need more of this. I want to share that I have a hard time really discussing football with a lot of people because I love it. I don't think that I would be who I am without it, because when I fell in love with it, I was 5. I mean, and I've been in love with it since. But it is absolutely, as Corey shared, it's a life changer. It's a legacy maker. Quite frankly, I wouldn't have my family that I have. That's how I met Trey's mother. I mean, it was during my football career, you know? So there are many aspects of this thing. And as you can see, and as you share with the people weekly, football is absolutely our family business. So I want to thank you, Corey, for coming on here with us. As I shared with you, this needs to become more of a regular thing because I do know what type of heart you have for the game. And this is the type of conversation that I like to have.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Corey, you're welcome anytime, my friend. Thanks so much for blessing us. Wow, we're going to be talking about this episode for a minute. So thanks for joining us. We certainly appreciate it. Hey, you folks out there, friends and family, please like and subscribe to the Hitman's Haven podcast. And you can find your podcast wherever you get your favorite flavors, from YouTube to Apple Podcasts to Spotify. So for now, we will see you next time. Be sure to join us for another exciting episode of the Hitman's Haven podcast. Take care, everybody.